Hello, welcome to Free Maths Lessons. Today we're going to be looking at practice paper set 2, paper 3, foundation. So without delay, let's get started. You can see the videos here has got so many chapters from this slider here. If I wanted to go to the question 14 or 11 or 10, I take this slider and you can see the question will come up there, which question you need to go to. Again, if you're finding it difficult to go exactly to that question, then what you would do, you need to bear with these advertisements as well. Okay. You can go on to the description here and I'll put those links here, hyperlinks. You can use those or you can use chapters at the bottom of that. Generally, you have settings where the chapter comes up on the side of the video. You can use that. Again, use these to go to the correct question that you're actually struggling with and you need help with. There's a link to download papers, so I would suggest that you download the paper and have a go at the paper before you actually go through the video explanation, because the best way to revise for maths is to practice them. So you need to practice doing those questions and not just watch the videos. By watching it, you feel like you know everything, but when it comes to doing it, you probably struggle to some of those concepts that you didn't really pick up when you're watching it. You only need to watch the video or watch the part where you struggle to understand. So probably out of 25 questions, you probably need help with 5 or 10 of those questions. So you don't need to watch 1 hour or 1 hour 20 minute me going through these different questions that you already know how to do them. Okay. Link to paper 1 and paper 3 is here. Any related videos that are already done, basically I'm going to try to put those links within the description. So you can use the description to actually download the papers and go to the different videos that you actually struggle with. First question, write down the percentage that is equal to 3/4. So we can use this fraction decimal percentage exchange. If you go from fraction to decimal, you can look at as a top divide by bottom. So 3 divided by 4 will give you decimal. And it's a calculator paper. We can do that very quickly without any problem. And from decimal to percentage, we always multiply by 100. And if I wanted to come back from percentage to decimal, then all you have to do is divide by 100. And if you go from decimal to fraction, then you can look at the place value. And I'll explain what I mean. Okay, so we're looking to go 3/4. So we change 3/4 to decimal, so do 3 divided by 4. Put that in the calculator, you get 0.75. And then decimal to percentage, multiply that by 100. Will give you 75%. Next one, write down fraction that is equal to 0.3. So we're going from decimal to fraction. And this is what I mean by place value. So if I look at it, you go unit, decimal, then you have tenth. Another way you can write tenth is this, 1/10. So you have units, ones, and then you have 1/10. So if you write this down here, 0 unit, decimal, and 3 in 10th column. So we have 3/10. Round 37 to nearest 10. So if you just list everything in tens, then you'll have your 30 and then you have your 40. So if you're rounding number to nearest 10, so these are tens. 37 would be somewhere here. So is 37 close to 40 or 37 is close to 30? That's what rounding means. Okay, so if it's 35 or above, you round to 40. So we round this number here to 40 because it's close to 37. Jen has £20, 4-mark question. It's a problem solving question, generally comes up at this point in the paper. Jen has £20 and she buys a book that costs £33.99. So if you're answering 4-mark question using calculator, you know what you're doing, but you need to still write down the method, write down what you're doing so you get marks every time you do that. So I need to write down what I'm actually taking away, what I'm buying from that £20. So I'm buying £3.99 worth of book plus 2 lots of £1.49, which gives me £2.98. Again, how did I get £2.98? Write it down. You would get 1 mark for it. So I did 149 multiplied by 2. Again, you're using calculator, it will give you that. And then you buy a pack of pens, which is £2.29. Put that in a calculator and it gives you the answer very quickly. I don't even have to do it in my head because you got the calculator, make use of it. I get £9.26. So that will get you 1 mark or 2 marks already. Then what we're looking to do is it gives half of the change to Tim. So if he's getting change, when he's buying £9.26 worth of items, how much change is he getting? So that'll get you your 3rd mark. So we're doing 20, take away that number. Which gives me £10.74. That gives you your 3rd mark, and then answer the questions. He gives a half of that to Tim. So we half that number, which is divided by 2, which gives you £5. So we're doing 10.74 divided by 2, which is £5.37. So she gives £5.37 to Tim. And that's what you need to do. Like I said, 1 mark, getting that right, 2, 3, and 4. So that's how you get marks. So don't try to just write down the answer. Try to go through every single place. So you're saying shade 1/4 of this grid. What we're looking to do here is just shading 1 part out of 4. That's what 1/4 is. So you're shading 1 part out of 4. But there are 8 pieces here. Well, you can think of this one here. First 4 pieces, you're shading 1 part out of these 4. And then you shade 1 part out of these 4. So 1 in every 4. That's 1/4. Or you can look at it these columns. Ignore that line, then you have 4 columns. So you're shading 1 part out of 4. If you cut that into 4 equal parts, then you're shading 1 of those if you ignore this middle line. Here's some cards. Choose the cards to make the smallest possible answer. Now, again, you got calculator. You can just run through that. Negative 0.5, put that in the calculator, then add 2.3. Would you get smallest possible? Whatever the answer you get, you can put it at the top. Then you can do the same thing. But negative, add another negative will give you bigger negative. So if I do negative 2.3, that gives me negative 2.8. And that's the smallest value you can get. Because you got 0.5 negative, 0.5 red, add another negative, your answer would be negative. Same thing again. But this time we're taking away. So 0.5, 0.05, take away positive 2.3. Then you got still negative. That's positive because of that sign. Here you got 0.5 negative and then 2.3 negative. You also get 2.8 as a negative. Probability that arrow will land on 8. So there is only one 8 out of 6 outcomes. So out of 6 different things, there's only one of those that's 8. So we have only one outcome that's 8, and out of means over 6 different outcomes that we have in total. So 1/6 is a probability of 8. One outcome is 8 out of 6 different outcomes, and they are equally likely to happen as well because they are same size. Probability that arrow will land on odd number. So we have odd numbers 1 and 5. Things that's not in pair, they are the odd numbers. So these are the only 2 odd numbers that we have. So how many odd numbers we have? We have 2 odd numbers out of 6 different odd numbers. So we get 2 out of 6. Now you can simplify it, there's nothing wrong with it. Doesn't ask you to simplify your answer, so you can leave it and you still get 1 mark. But if they ask you to simplify it, and then you know it's going to be 1/3. Fair spinner have 5 sides now, and they are equal section as well. Each section, so they are all exactly the 5 equal sections. 5. That spinner can stop at any one of those 5, has same probability. 1/5, 1/5, 1/5, 1/5, and 1/5. So probability that the arrow will land on 4 is 3/5. That means 3 of these sections have 4 in there. And if you write that down, you get 1 mark because you met the first condition. And if the total of all 5 sections is 21, then you meet the second condition and you get your second mark. So we need to make sure that these adds up to 12, and we need to, all 5 numbers, we need them to add to 21. So we're doing 21, take away 12, which is 9. So we need these 2 sections to add up to 9. Now you can have 5 and 4. That changes the probability of landing on 4. So we can't have 5 and 4. You can have any other pairs. You can have 1 and 8. You can have 2 and 7. Or you can have 3 and 6. But you cannot have 5 and 4. Because if you have one more 4, then you end up getting 4 4s rather than 3 4s. So that meets both of those conditions. Sum is 21. That means all add up to 21. And the probability of 4 is 3/5. Junction 1, Junction 2 and Junction 3, J1, 2 and 3. Distance between J2 and J3 is 8.8. Distance from J1 to J2 is 1/4 of the distance from J2 to J3. So that is 8.8. And 1/4, this is 1/4 of this. So we're doing 1/4 times 8.8. 1/4 of 8.8. Put that in a calculator. Again, you are allowed calculator. So you put 1/4 in your calculator, multiply by 8.8, which gives you 2.2. So that's your second mark. First mark, if you write down 1/4 times 8.8, that's your second mark there. Now work out the distance from J1 to J3. So this is your 2.2 mile plus 8.8 mile. So we need to write that down. The total distance J1 to J3 is equal to 8.8 and 2.2, which gives you 11. And that's your third mark, getting 11. ABC are the 3 vertices of the quadrilateral. Plot D so that the ABCD is a rectangle. So if you want that to be rectangle, D going to be right on top of C in the same line as A and the same line. So that makes it rectangle. E is a midpoint of BC. So E is exactly halfway between B and C. So that's E. Circle the 2 answers that describes triangle ABE. So if I make a triangle ABE, that's this one here. So that's my triangle ABE. Okay, what type of triangle is that? One of the things you can easily say is this is a right angle triangle. So that's a right angle triangle. One of the things I know from that is that length there is 3, that length there is 3. So 2 of the sides in that triangle are same. And what do we call if your 2 sides are exactly the same? Scaling and none of the sides are same. Whereas isosceles triangle is when you have 2 sides are same and 2 angles are same, exactly the same. So these 2 angles are same and these 2 sides are same. Write down the ratio of length AB to BC. Now we're looking to write down the ratio between AB to BC. So AB is 3, BC is 6. 3 there and 3 there. And if you're writing down that ratio, so length AB to BC, it'd be 3 to 6. But read the question carefully. Give your answer in simplest form. We need to simplify that. So divide both sides by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. And 6 divided by 3 is 2. The ratio between AB to BC is 1 to 2. Bag of sweets have 2 types of sweets, red and yellow. There are twice as many red as yellow. So if you're comparing 2 quantities, you can generally use ratios. So we're writing down the red to yellow. There are twice as many red as yellow. So if I say there is 1 yellow, double that will give you 2 red. And we need to write down the fraction of the sweets that are red. So there are 2 reds out of 3 sweets in total because there's 2 reds and 1 yellow. So in a bag, if you have one yellow, you will have two red. If you have two yellows, you will have four red. So always going to be red's going to be double. So 2 parts always going to be for the red out of 3. So the fraction that you need is 2/3. You could have had 4/6, 6/9, and so on, because that would be always double that number regardless. You can have 2x over 3x, same thing. So there are 18 red sweets. Work out the total number of sweets in the bag. If the reds are double the yellow, so we have 18 reds and 9 yellows. So really straightforward. Not 18 add 9 gives you 27 in total. But if this meant to be slightly later on in the exam paper and you're not sure about it, we follow this ratio thing. Okay, so we're saying the red to yellow is 2 to 1. We're going from 2 to 18. Why am I multiplying 2 by 9? You're doing same thing on both sides of the ratio, similar to fractions. So we're going to multiply 1 by 9 as well, and you end up getting 9. So how many sweets do we have in total? If you have 18 red, you will have 9 yellow. So total is 27. But that's perfectly fine as well. If you understand it and get it, you get those 2 marks. Factorize that. Means generally looking at these things, okay? You got the area of a rectangle, that's 2x and minus 4. I need to work out the height of the rectangle and the width of the rectangle. But it needs to be cut into 2 parts if you're factorizing it. And you want the height to be as big as possible. So we're trying to look for the biggest number that's common between 2 and 4, which is 2. And then saying, okay, 2 times what gives you 2x. So that's the area of this rectangle. 2 times x will give me 2x. And then 2 times what gives you negative 4? Negative 2. So that's my answer. I'm multiplying 2 with x minus 2. So I'm multiplying 2, use the bracket to multiplication, x minus 2. So 2 times x minus 2 will give you 2x minus 4. And that's your answer. Solving equation x over 5 plus 1 equal to 10. If you're solving equation, you want to be doing same thing on both sides of the equal sign. This equal sign in the middle is solid. It doesn't really move. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get rid of that 1. How do I get rid of the 1? If you add negative 1. And if I add negative 1 on this side, I need to add negative 1 on the other side. So plus 1 and minus 1 gives you 0. So that cancel off. 10 take away 1 gives you 9. Equal sign, like I said, stays in the middle as solid. And on the left hand side, you're left with x, which we don't know, over 5. So x over 5 is equal to 9. Something divided by 5 gives you 9. So that something has to be 5 times 9. Straightforward. Otherwise, you can say I want to get rid of that 5 to work out what x is. To work out what that x is. So to get rid of that divide by 5, I'm going to multiply this side by 5. So I need to multiply that side by 5 as well if you want the things to be equal to each other. So 5 divided by 5 gives you just x. And 9 times 5 will give you 45. So your answer is x equal to 45. That would we get here. And you can check that in here. 45 divided by 5 is 9. 9 add 1, which is 10. That's what you have on the other side. The scale on map is 1 to 2000. Work out the number of kilometers represented by 2 centimeters on the map. So if there is a 1 centimeter on the map, actually that's 200,000 centimeters. So we have 2 centimeters on the map. That would be, so I'm going from 1 to 2. I'm timesing it by 2. So I need to times the other side by 2, the actual distance by 2 as well. So that would be 400,000 centimeters. But I want my answer in kilometers. So I need to write down the other 2 things about it. That will give you 1 mark, but for getting the other marks, you need to write down the 2 conversion. Saying, okay, 1 kilometer is equal to how many meters? You should know this. 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters. 1 meter is one big stride. So if you walk 1 kilometer, you take 1,000 big stride, okay? And then I still don't have centimeter anyway. I need to get centimeter to kilometer. So I can't just divide by 1,000 and get it. But first we need to convert that into meters. So I'll say, okay, 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters. And remember again, centimeter is the width of your nail, whereas meter is one big stride. So you'll need 100 of these fingers measured to get 1 meter. Now we can get that done. I need to change centimeter to meter first. What am I doing? I'm going from 100 to 1. So if you go from 100 to 1, you divide by 100. So I need to divide that 400,000 by 100 first to get into meters. So 400,000 divided by 100 will give me 4,000 meter. Does that make sense? 100 means get rid of those two zeros. I say divide by 100, you get rid of those two zeros. Then from meter to kilometer, I'm going from 1,000 to 1. So I'm dividing by 1,000. 1,000 to 1 means divide by 1,000. So if I'm going from there to there, you're getting rid of these three zeros. Again, there's a decimal at the end. You're moving that decimal 3 places forward, or you're moving the entire thing 3 places to the right. So you get 4 in the unit place. So that is same as 4 kilometers. So if you get 4 kilometers, you get your second mile. The sequence has these three terms, and each term is obtained by adding previous two terms together. So 10 add negative 6 gives you 4. Work out the next two terms in the sequence. So we're going to look at negative 6 add 4 will give you negative 2. And then 4 add negative 2 will give you 2. So these are our next two terms in the sequence. Okay, that's it. So we get negative 2 and 2. Sequence is continued. How many negative terms do you get in the sequence altogether? Circle your answer. So let's look at it. What's the next term going to be? We want to make sure that we stop with the negative term. So next term is going to be negative 2 add 2, which is 0. Then after that, we get 2. Then you get 2 add 0 is 2. 0 add 2 is 2. Then 2 add 2 is 4. And once you get both of these terms positive, you're never going to go back into negative, because you're adding these two terms to go more. So it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger if you go forward now. Okay, you will get 2 again, but then you get 4, then you get 6, then you get 10, then you get 16, and so on. So the only negative terms we get in that sequence are these two, negative 6 and negative 2. So how many terms do we get? That's negative. We get only 2 terms. That gives you negative, because once you go past that to 0, you're always going to get positive answer. Using this table, draw the graph x plus 1 for the values 0 to 10. So 0 to 1, 5 goes to 6, 10 goes to 11. So that's fine. X value is 0, y value is 1. So you can look at it as a coordinates 0, 1. It's always x before y when you write down the coordinate. Okay? So 0, 1, 5, 6, 10, 11. Write down the two different mistake he has made. So that's a curve, or not even a straight line, that is. So let's look at the points. That's 1, 0, not 0, 1. We need the point 0, 1. So 0 across, 1 up. So it should have been here. Let's look at the next point here. 5 across, 6 up. So that's right. And then 10 across and 11 up. So 10 across, 11 up. So first mistake, that point should have been 0, 1. The first mistake, the point is not in the right place. Point should be 0, 1 and not 1, 0. So that's your first mistake. And the second mistake is a straight line graph. It shouldn't be going curvy or bent there. Should be a straight line. So it's not a straight line. That's the second mistake. It's not a straight line. The diagram shows quarter circle with the radius 5 centimeters. So 1/4 of the entire circle. Work out the area of the quarter circle. So area of the circle is given to you in the formula sheets, okay, formula booklet. Just a one sheet anyway. And now area of the circle is given to you as a 5 times radius squared, and that gives you the area of the full circle. The radius here is 5 centimeters. So again, you're using calculator, and if you need to write your answer in terms of pi, that's fine. Otherwise, you can use pi button and the radius button. So radius here is 5. So we're doing pi times 5 squared. So you need to square first and then multiply by pi. So 5 squared gives you 25. 25 times pi. You can put that in the calculator, or you can leave your answer in majority of the cases. 25 pi centimeters squared. Now, if I'm doing the 1/4 of the entire circle, that's the area of the entire circle. But if I only want the 1/4 of it, half it and half it again. So I'm finding 1/4 of 25 pi. You can put that in the calculator and you can work out what that would be. So I got 25 pi divided by 4, which gives me 19.63 at 2 decimal places. And that's area of 1/4 of the circle. 500 is invested for 2 years at 3%, and it's a simple interest. It's been written in the bold letter, simple interest, not compound interest. So we need to work out what would be 3% added on to 500, okay, or work out what 3% is. If you're using calculator, saying 3% is 3 divided by 100, which is same as 0.03. So you multiply 500 by 0.03 and I get 15. So that's the interest in 1 year. And if it's simple interest, you get £15 every year, and we want it for 2 years. So we're doing 15 times 2, which is 30. So you get interest. Work out the total interest. The total interest would be £30. We don't need actual value after 2 years. We're saying what would you get in terms of the interest after in 2 years. So you get £30 interest in 2 years. So if you got 15, that would get you first mark. Multiply 15 by 2 to get 30, gives you second and third mark. So you could have done whatever you did to get work out 0.03 or something gets 1 mark, 2 mark, getting final answer is your third mark. Problem solving question again. 4 marks. Work out anything that you work out, you will get you mark. And generally, if you work out one thing, it generally leads to work out the second thing. So here, the entire things are three of these rectangles that's identical. So saying 15 identical rectangles. So they are all same height, same width, whatever. So 3 of those make 18. So we know the width of each rectangle is 6. And now we need to work out what the height is going to be. So you can look at this middle part. That helps you work out. So middle part is made up of 1 6. So that's that. Another 6 if I put it next to it. That's that. And then we got 3 of these small things. 1, 2, and 3. So 3 of these width that make is exactly the same as 3 of these 6s. So 3 of these small things. 1, 2, and 3. That's exactly the same length, because it makes a rectangle exactly the same length as 3. So these three of these small things, that should be same as the 6, because that makes that third 6 here. Okay. So 3 of these make 6. So we're doing 6 divided by 3, which is 2. So we know the height of the rectangle is 2. And the width of the rectangle or base of the rectangle is 6. So that's 6 and that's 2. So we now know the base of the rectangle and the height of the rectangle. So if you want to work out the area, all we have to do is do 18 times 6 add 2 add 2, which is 10. And that gives you 180 centimeter square. That's it. So 4 marks. If you get these 6's, that's your first mark. If you do 6 divided by 2 and get the height, 6 divided by 3 and get the height to 2, second mark. And you know, if you want to work out the area of the entire things, you're doing either 18 times 10, that's your third mark, and getting the right answer, or you can do 12 and 15 times 12, that also gives you 180, because each rectangle has the area of 12 and there are 15 rectangles, so you could do that 15 times 12. So if you got 12, that would give you third mark, and get 15 times 12 and 180, that gives you your fourth mark. Remember, each rectangle have the area 12, 6 by 2, 6 by 2. There's a 15 rectangle. You can do that, no problem. I'm thinking of a number n, so I'll write that down, n. I subtract 3 from my number, so I'm taking away 3. I divide my answer by 5, so divide entire things by 5. The final answer I get is 2, which is equal to 2. So that's the equation I generally get. You can do that way and then solve it what you need to do. Or you can work backward that way. If your answer is 2, after dividing number by 5, so I'm going back that way, I'm starting from 2, and instead of dividing by 5, I'm going to times it by 5. So we get 10. And then, because I subtracted 3 from my initial number, so I'm going to add 3 to that. And I get 13. So the number I was thinking of is 13. You can solve that equation exactly the same way. Look, multiply both sides by 5. So you get rid of that 5 and that 5. Division by 5 and multiply by 5 is getting rid of. Now you add 3 on both sides. That gives you n equal to 13. So that's the number I was thinking of, but that's not the question. Work out my final answer if I add 7 to my number and then divide it by 4. So I need to add 7 to 13 and then divide it by 4. So 13 add 7 is 20, divided by 4 gives you 5. So that's my final answer there. 5 is your final answer. That's what you get if you complete that. So again, 2 marks if you work that out, third marks if you did that correctly, and then final mark if you did 12 divided by 4, which gives you 5. Diagram is a parallelogram. This entire thing is a parallelogram. Work out the size of angle x. So what I know about the angle x here is whatever this angle is plus that x, that would give me 110. That big angle here, x plus whatever that small angle is. And I can work out that small angle because I got the triangle there. Angles in a triangle add up to 180. So I can say whatever this angle here is, small angle, it would be 50 add 95 and taken away from 180. So angle in a triangle add up to 180. So we say 50 add 95, which gives me what, 145. And then you take the 145 away from 180. That gives me what, 35. So we know that angle there is 35. And then 35 plus x gives you 110. So all I have to do is take away 35 from 110. So 110 take away 35, which gives me 75 is it? 75 add 25, yeah. Again, you can use calculator to work that out. So we get x to be 75. You must show your working out, which may be on the diagram. So you can write these things in the diagram and you can show the working out clearly. Work out the size of angle y. Again, it's only 1 mark, but we can work it out quickly. Come on, man. So the angle y is here. And what I can do here is saying, okay, if that's 50 there, then these two lines are parallel. If that's 50, that would be 50. Why? Because they are alternate angles. So 50, 110 gives you 160, so that y has to be 30. That's all you needed to do, remember. These two lines are parallel, so you get two lines that's parallel, and that's your transversal. If this angle here is 50, then this angle is going to be 50 as well, because the alternate angle, they alternate. .4 seconds given to the nearest 0.1 of the second. Complete the error interval. If that 10.4 second is rounded to 1 decimal place in a way, so we need to look at what's the next number after that going to be, and what's the number before that going to be. So that's 10.3, and that's going to be 10.5. Now if you're looking for error interval, means which possible number that rounds to 10.4 and not 10.3 and not 10.5. So we're looking for the boundaries here. If you start from here 10.35, that will round to 10.4, and then up to the point here, and that's what that sign means. Okay. This one here, this is strictly less than this point here. It has to be rounding it to 10.4, which is 10.45. So that's the highest boundary we got. The highest possible number is 10.449999 reoccurring. So anything that's strictly less than 10.45 will round to this, and anything that's bigger than or even equal to, that's why that symbol is there, 10.35 and 10.45, that's the error interval. So that's the time that should be within those boundaries. Two right angle triangles are similar, so both of those triangles are similar. So if I'm making something this side bigger by certain, this one will get bigger that many times as well. If I make something bigger here, that's going to get bigger as well that many times. So similar triangles are enlargement, when every single side is getting bigger by whatever the scale factor is. So work out the scale factor. How do I go from 5 to 20? So you can do 20 divided by 5. Put that in the calculator, gives you 4. So scale factor here is 4. You're making this triangle 4 times bigger. They are not drawn accurately. Okay, so that's something you need to keep in mind. So every single length on that triangle is 4 times bigger than this triangle. So if that's 8, we multiply that 8 by 4. That gives you 32. So the y has to be 32 centimeters. Work out the value of y. Give your answer as fraction. Work out the value of x. Work out the value of cos x. So cos x going to be adjacent over hypotenuse. So this is one you have to work out what SohCah to y is. So means sine theta is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. Ka means cos theta equal to adjacent over hypotenuse, and that's what we're going to be using. If it's a right angle triangle, you can label each one of these things here. Okay, so we got the right angle there, and opposite of the right angle is always the biggest side. So that's the hypotenuse. One next to this angle here, x here, cos x, that's what we're looking for. One line that's next to this angle, which is that 5 centimeters. So that's your A, adjacent. So that next to it. And that is your opposite. Opposite of x is opposite. So we only know A and H. So when you want to work out using A and H, we're going to be using this one, Ka. So we're going to be looking at Ka. So cos theta, so cos x is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. Adjacent is 5 and hypotenuse is 8. So that's your cos x. Value of the cos x is 5 over 8. That's it. And we worked out what the y going to be. Because the scale factor is 4, so the y is 32 centimeter. Now again, you get the 1 mark for working out what the scale factor is. So scale factor is 4, and then second mark getting that 8 times 4 and gives you that 32. So you're doing 22 times 4, because the mean of 4 members, all 4 members is 22. So if you want to work out 4 members, age is 88 years. Sorry, would that be 60, not 66? 63. Use calculator, don't make silly mistakes. So they 3 members age adds up to 63, 4 member age add up to 88. So this happens after who joins? Ashley. So the age of Ashley going to be the gap between those two, which is 88, take away 63. Put that in the calculator and work out what would that be, which gives me 25. Line has equation 3x minus 5. So you multiply x by 3 and then take away 5 every single time. Multiply x by 3 and then take away 5. So generally this is your equation straight line graph, y equal to mx plus c, where m is your gradient and the c is your y-intercept. So number in front of the x is your gradient. So the gradient of the line is 3 and the number by itself, which is minus 5. So that's your y-intercept, because when you put x equal to 0, your y value is going to be minus 5. That's why it's called y-intercept. Okay? John chooses 4 numbers from digit 1 to 4. Matt chooses 4 numbers from digit 1 to 4. We'll write down the probability that the total of 2 numbers as chosen is 10. 1 to 4, if you're choosing, the maximum total you can get if the Matt chooses 4 and John chooses 4. So 4 add 4, which gives you 8. So that's the max total we can get. So what's the probability that you get score of 10? Is 0. Or you can write here as a 0%. Anything will do, okay? Because you can write your probability as a percentage, decimal, or fraction. Work out the probability of total of the 2 numbers chosen is more than 6. So this is where we need to draw sample space diagram. So with this is where, say, you're going to look at John's number and the Matt's number. So John uses from 1 to 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4. And the Matt uses from 1 to 4, so 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if they adding both of those total, finding the total, so if you both picks 1, then the total would be 2. And then if both 1 and 2, 3, 4, and 5. You can easily see, quickly write those things down and work out basically 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 6, 5, 6, 7, 6, 7, and 8. So we want the probability that the total of 2 numbers chosen is more than 6. So more than 6 means 6 not included. We're looking for these 3 numbers, 7, 7, and 8. Those are 3 numbers out of 16 numbers altogether. So probability that you would get total is more than 6 is 3 out of 16. So 2 marks for doing this sample space diagram correctly and 1 mark for getting that right answer. Simultaneous equation, if you can't do that, that's fine. You can do this without doing simultaneous equation. 3 adult and 2 child cost 46. 1 adult and 2 child cost 24. Now childs are common in both of them. So what we're saying, okay, if you buy 2 more adult tickets, so 2 adult should cost you 46 take away 24, which is £22. So what's the cost of 1 adult? So 1 adult should cost you £11. And that gets you math straight away. Adult ticket costs £11. Then we're looking at the next one here. If 1 adult costs £11, we can use this one here. So 1 adult is 11 plus 2 child's tickets will cost you 24. So if I take away the £11, so we work out what the child ticket will cost. So 2 children's tickets will cost you £13. 11 taken away from 24, so that's 13. So 1 child will be half of 13, which is £6.50. So children's tickets cost you £6.50. That's it. That gets you full 3 marks or 4 marks, whatever that is. You can do it 3a plus 2c, 1a plus 2c is equal to 46 and 24, and work it out that way. That's exactly the same thing we've done here. So let's just quickly do that. 3a plus 2c equal to 46. A plus 2c is equal to 24. So you can't take away the entire things. 3a take away a gives you 2a. So 2 adult, they cancels out. 2c minus 2c gives you 0, and that gives you 22. So 2 adult gives you 22, so the adult is 11. And then you substitute adult equal to 11, so adult plus 2c, what we just done here, and you get 650. Area of the ellipse is with A and height B is given by this. So we can work out the area of the ellipse using this formula given to you here. And we can work out the area of the rectangle because there's a width is 3.6, the height is 1.2. The shaded section are removed to make sign. Work out the percentage of the rectangular metal sheet used to make the sign. We need to look for the percentage, okay, not the area. We're not looking for the area, we're looking for the percentage. But to do that, we need to look at the area of the rectangle, which is 3.6 times 1.2. So if you do 3.6 times 1.2, we get 4.32. Okay? And then we need to work out what's the area of this ellipse is, which is width 3.6, height 1.2. So A is 3.6 and that's 1.2. Work out, put that numbers in here. So we're doing pi times AB, which is, we said we already looked at a 4.32, divide by 4. Pi is 3, but you can just put that in, multiply by pi and then divide it by 4. I get big decimal number, but we're going to write here as a 2 decimal places. 3.39. So the area of this ellipse is 3.39 and that's 4.32. We want to work out the percentage of the rectangular metal sheet is used to make the sign. So this ellipse is been used out of this entire thing. So what we use is 3.39 out of 4.32. And that fraction, if you do that fraction, that gives you decimal in the calculator. So that divide by 4.32 gives you 0.785, so on. Okay. And then if I wanted to work out the percentage, I always multiply by 100. And that gives me 78.5%. Around it 1 decimal place. So that's the percentage of the metals being used. The rest, these are gone to waste corners. The last question, I think. Company A claims their products are half as likely to be faulty compared to the company B. So they're saying, okay, in the sample, 4% of the products are faulty for company A. So the A has 4% faulty. So we need to look for it. Company B should have 8% if the company A claims there are half as much likely than the B. So let's say work out what percentage of the company B products are faulty. So they have 32 faulty and 368 non-faulty. So we first need to work out the total there. So add them up. 368 add 32 gives you 400. So they make 400 products. How many of those 400 products are faulty? So work out the percentage of the faulty products. So we're doing 32 divide by 400 multiply by 100. And that will give you 8%. So now we know the company B has 8% faulty products. That is double the company A. That's what their claim is. We have half as likely to be faulty compared to the B. So their claim is correct. And we've shown the working out. And that's end of the question. So if you found it helpful, please like and share it with anyone that would probably need these or need help with this. Okay. Thank you for watching.